the people behind the brand resonate with a lot of people. They've seen Kyle filming season 9 right now. We film now and then it airs next spring. So it's a great, I mean, it's a built-in marketing machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they grow up with them. For 8 seasons, they've seen the ups and downs. They wear their heart on a sleeve. What you see on the show is not fake. I could vouch for it. They are who they are. And, you know, people see them on the street and it's not like, oh my God, it's Kyle. It's, hey, Kyle, what's going on with this? It's like a cousin that they're just asking them for updates on what's going on in their life.
Yes.
They don't treat them like celebrities. They treat them like extended friends.
That's cool.
Which I think creates a very sticky connection, not only to them, but to what they're doing, which is what's allowed the brand to really resonate with everybody.
Welcome back to another episode of Chew on This. Today we have founder of Yonkers Brewing Co. and currently COO of Loverboy, Nick. Nick, thank you so much for joining us, especially coming up all the way down here in Kearney. For the few viewers who maybe don't know about you or don't know a little bit about your past, give them a little bit of rundown. What was Yonkers all about and what are you doing at Loverboy now?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a fun trip over to Jersey.
Don't lie.
As we were talking, it was only an hour, 15 minutes. Could be 3 hours, depending on the timing.
True.
But
Got lucky.
But no, thanks for having me here. Yeah, my background, finance background out of college, you know, went to actually work for GE right out of college, their commercial financial services area. You know, come from a blue collar family and it was always, you kind of go for something that might give you a pension and, you know, kind of that safe route. And corporate America was kind of the push outside of college. But being there for a year, I saw where that kind of took you. In corporate America, it's you're in this role for 5 years, and then you're in this role for 5 years, in this role, and then you kind of die there. And I saw pretty quickly that's not where I wanted to be. So, but it did give me a bunch of learning lessons. Learned about processes, you know, a lot of the baseline financial things that you really want to learn coming out of college and putting a lot of the education to work. But then from there, I moved to asset management and more of a sales role. That's where I really found myself. I didn't want to be so much behind the curtain, but more in front and being able to build my own way and make my own way. You know, the work you put in is kind of what you get out of it. So that brought me to financial services, and I was there until kind of shit hit the fan in 2010, 11, 12. And then that's where the true passion came out. It wasn't necessarily alcohol. I'm Italian background, and you know, me and my partner at the time that founded Yonkers, we always made wine with our grandfathers, and that's how the story started. You know, there was an opportunity to do something different outside of finance, and whereas kind of our passion, we always made wine, and then we knew that beer was kind of the new thing. In 2011, 2012, beer was always really big on the West Coast, started making its way east. And really, Sam Adams around that time was like, oh my God, Sam Adams is, you know, this new craft beer, which is kind of laughable now, but that was the new stuff at the time. So we said, let's get into alcohol, but not for the reasons of just producing alcohol. We wanted to bring something back to Yonkers, where I grew up, our community. We found our friends, family were moving out of Yonkers, but we wanted to do something that brought them back to Yonkers and create a sense of community. And we got a spot down on the waterfront, 25 minutes from Grand Central. And there you go. We threw our hat in the alcohol ring and said, let's do it. And then did that for about 5, 6, 7 years. Wow. And then it was really important at the time that people had a sense of community and they knew where their products were coming from. And they wanted to know where it was being made in the sense of, you know, locale. And they were only drinking beer at that time that was made within 10 miles of their house, which is wild. But then I saw that the sentiment started to shift to not where is it being made, but what's in it and what's it being made with. And that's kind of what brought me to Loverboy. Kind of a better for you alternative to some of the alcohol that was being, you know, drank in 2016, 17, 18. That was the White Claw surge and all of that good stuff. So, you know, 2018 is when we launched Loverboy, the end of 2018, officially 2019. And that kind of brought me where I am today.
So cool, man. So kind of, let's just dial it back here a little bit. When did you meet Kyle?
2018, I met Kyle. I didn't know who Kyle was. I was looking to do something for you in the better for you space. I saw that that's kind of where the market was going. And as luck would have it, I had a friend in common with Kyle who put us in contact with each other. Of course, when I said Kyle Cooke out loud at home, my wife exploded.
Of course.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, why you're so excited, but I'm going to meet this kid, Kyle Cooke. And then, I don't know, she blew up, like I said. And then I met Kyle, and, you know, Kyle's not just pretty face on TV. He's a Babson grad. You know, he has a tremendous business acumen. And he had this platform, and he wanted to do something with it. And that's really what was the brainchild of Loverboy. And with my alcohol background and his platform and his kind of vision for what he wanted to do with a better for you brand, we came together in 2018, and that's kind of what set it off.
So cool. That is insane.
Yeah.
No, I think it's I first of all, I think these stories are awesome where it's like how it comes about and like what you fall into, because we started Obvi in 2019 as well. Yeah. And, you know, we were still running a marketing agency, and we're like, you know what, like, let's play around with selling women's supplements. And it's kind of like something like you stumble into. Totally. And then you realize like, wait, this is exactly was my calling. Totally. Right. So that's really cool. I'm super curious on a few things, right? When you look at the space back in 2019 and when you guys got started, talk about like what that competitive landscape looked like, and like, the fact that you got to have a platform out of the gate, was that a large competitive advantage coming out of a launch for a product like this? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back in 2018, 2019, when we first brought this to market, well, let me take a step back. One of the interesting things about Summerhouse and the platform is they're responsible for their own food and beverage. So that was an initial light bulb for Kyle of, you know, we have a lot of product coming here. He didn't necessarily get into Summerhouse to be a celebrity. No. Got into it with an entrepreneurial mindset of, this is a platform that I might be able to use to do something really cool. Yeah. Plus get to have some fun and, of course, create some really cool content and stuff. So he's from New Hampshire. They were drinking a lot of twisted tea, and that was really the only tea in the market at that time, tea being the second most widely drank beverage. It's funny that there was only one tea out there, alcoholic tea on the market, and it's probably the worst thing possible for you. It's still hard to find how many actual grams of sugar are in it, but it's not a little. Yeah. And then that's also when White Claw and Truly started coming on the scene. And again, the shift towards the better for you, transparency, what's in what I'm drinking rather than where it's being made. And then that's where the light bulb went off, I think, in his head to really start this journey of people want accessibility to a better for you alcohol. I know that sounds like contradictory, but a better for you alcoholic beverage, instead of putting all these crazy things into your body, like a better for you experience when you're trying to party, have a good time, and things like that. And the only option out there from the tea side was Twisted, and that was a big differentiator for us. So we launched with a tea. We were really the only tea outside of Twisted available at the time. That's awesome. And then we had this platform. We were able to get it on the show. It almost became a cast member on the show. That was really good. And then we went into COVID, and people were stuck on their couches watching Loverboy on Summerhouse. And we got to the market just before that. What's amazing about our platform and our social community is we're able to directly connect with our consumer, and the big guys couldn't. So when COVID happened, they essentially shut down. Their hands were tied. They couldn't do anything. Meanwhile, we were just there, a small team, 3, 4, 5 people at the time, pushing everybody to the shelf, and it was going gangbusters, right? And people saw it for a year, 2 years. They heard about Loverboy for 2 years because Kyle was talking about it. It's amazing. Then they saw it, and we kind of just pushed them right to the shelf, and that's really what allowed us to expand so quickly.
Now, during that time, did you guys have a lot of shelf presence, or?
So I would say really the biggest market for us, funny enough, was Massachusetts. Massachusetts was kind of early to the tea, what is now like fourth category, you know, with the Northeast being where Twisted came from, and then a lot of things just coming out of Massachusetts. And we had a pretty big presence in Massachusetts, and Summerhouse has a big following in that area too. So we were able to cement ourselves at the shelf over there and really point to that state as a showcase for what the brand could do.
Right.
New York, obviously, pushing in New York, but we could get into it a little later. But in the alcohol business, when you sign with a distributor, you kind of sign with them for life.
Yeah.
So the way we entered these markets, they're with some small startup distributors as well that we didn't have long-term contracts with. It was kind of bucking the norm. So what we wanted to do is show what the brand could do with these smaller distributors, use them as a partner, and then grow from there.
Yeah.
You know, once we grew out of what their capabilities were, we could then point to what the brand was doing.
Yeah.
And sign a contract that was more favorable to us as we move forward into these markets and
Makes sense.
got a little more sales representation and more eyeballs on the brand when we went to some of the bigger distributors.
Were you doing a lot of direct to consumer at that time, or was it mostly just push them to the shelves?
No, it was mostly push the shelves with alcohol, state lines.
Right.
There are a lot of restrictions in. We're considered a beer, though we're not malt based. We're categorized as a beer and taxed as a beer.
Got it.
So you're not allowed to ship the beer products across state lines, or
Makes sense.
that's why you have the Drizzlies of the world and things where you could order and
Makes sense.
it's shipped locally.
Yeah.
Later on, what we actually did do is formulate our spritz products, which are wine-based, which you are able to ship direct to consumer.
Smart.
Because one of the big issues we had was our consumers were national because of the platform,
Right.
but we weren't able to expand as quickly, and they don't know that. They don't know why we're not in California or Texas or Chicago,
hard to communicate.
or why we're not there. So by creating this shippable consumable, we were able to extend the brand
That's so smart.
and have
Really
it.
smart.
And it was almost a proof of concept in a bunch of these states saying we have consumers that want it, which then allowed us to expand.
You
through
had the brand.
distribution.
Yeah.
Correct. We had the brand
Amazing.
awareness.
So cool.
Yeah. So we did things a little ass backwards. We went consumer first, and then consumer asked the retailer for it. Retailer asked distributor for it. Then distributors were reaching out to us.
That's awesome.
And usually it's, the suppliers trying to pound on the distributor's door saying, please take us, please take us.
Right.
So it was pretty cool.
I'm super curious because I think the one thing we always hear, I mean, we've always been like beverage curious brand as well. It's like, the one thing they always say is like beverage is a beast
100%.
of its own. Like it's, there's like, you can get into supplements and like consumables, but then you have like food, and then you have like top of the pyramid, like beverage being challenging because you have shipment weights, you have distributors to deal with. If you're an alcoholic, you have the state lines and so much different diligence and red tape. And then on top of that, like you don't have a very like high AOV product that becomes a D2C, juggernaut necessarily. So you kind of have to play that retail game. I'm curious, like what were some of the early challenges that you guys faced? And then if you can maybe fast forward, because a lot of our viewers, like there are some people who do own, incredible beverage companies that would love to probably be able to relate to maybe some of the challenges you faced early on to even what you're facing now 5 years later.
Yeah. I mean, when people say they want to get into beverage, specifically alcohol, I'm like, don't do it.
Good luck.
I mean, you guys would probably say the same if somebody says, I want to do what you guys do. And you're like,
just look away.
Please don't do it. With alcohol, you deal with the 3-tier system. So you have the supplier, then the wholesaler, then the retailer. So we can't sell directly to Whole Foods. If we get it national programming with Whole Foods, we need to then search out a distributor in every market that a Whole Foods is in, sign individual contracts with those distributors to then have them, secure the product on the shelf. So
Is that system just antiquated? Like, is it just like it needs to change and just not getting disrupted, or it actually just works and it needs to stay the same way?
Well, I mean, I think the origination of it was done in a way to protect the distributor who at the time were the mom and pops. So you have these big, huge suppliers back in the 70s, the 80s that were expanding. And, you have Budweiser who would use a mom and pop distributor that would open up all these markets and then pull their brand away. Right. And then they would take ownership of their brand. And then, so they would use them to help build it from a grassroots perspective and then pull it back.
Interesting.
So then the lobbying started to happen, and then the rules were written to protect the mom and pops who were the distributors at the time.
Wow.
To then, if you sign with a distributor, they essentially own your brand in perpetuity.
Right.
So a supplier can't use a distributor to build a brand to then expand and then pull it back. That distributor owns the brand. They own the rights to sell your brand in that market. And that hasn't changed. So now the roles have shifted a bit. You have these behemoth distributors that essentially own your brand when you sign with them. So you have to make sure you pick the right ones because, I mean, being married is an understatement. There's almost no divorce, and you're paying heavily if you try to divorce from that. So you have to do your due diligence, make sure you're finding the right partner, the ones that believe in your brand, because they may believe in it now, but they may not believe in it in 5 years. But guess what? You're still stuck with them, and you don't have many options outside of that. So it really does become a true partnership. And that's just what's hard. You're not always getting back what you put in because you have so many different customers. You have the end consumer, which we're responsible for to create the awareness. Then we have the retailer who's our customer. We're trying to pitch them on why we should be on the shelf. Then the distributor of why they should be pitching us and pushing us and doing all this when they have 180 other brands with 25 other SKUs in their portfolio. And in New York, you could have 15 different distributors just to cover all of New York State. Wow. Some states have a full state solution, some don't, and they're just segmented because of the way the beer wholesale network is aligned. But that's why we expanded pretty quickly. But we really made sure we sat down and we had individual contracts with all of the right distributors that believed in the brand and that would really get behind it. And overall, I think we're extremely excited about the partners we have. They believe in the brand. We create a solution in their portfolio that they don't necessarily have. Someone to really combat some of the big guys in the fourth category. And we have a lot of the brand awareness that the brands that they carry don't have. So luckily, we've been able to fill a void, and we've been able to capture the eyeballs of their sales team and the end consumer as well.
Got it. Chew on This is sponsored by. If you're juggling your marketing ops between different platforms, then listen up. Ash and I were in the same boat as you were not too long ago. We were using an email service provider and an external SMS provider to manage over 200,000 customers. With numerous email flows like post-purchase, abandoned cart, win-back automation funnels, running these communications on several platforms was killing our potential impact because we just didn't know how to optimize the process on each channel. We needed a new approach, so we reached out to our community. The number one recommendation was SendLane, so we had to check it out. And let me tell you, it's surprised us on every level. They took over the entire migration process, transferring data, forming up emails, and making sure that we didn't miss a beat. And now with their Move Now, Pay Later offer, it's easier than ever. You pay nothing up front, no hidden fees, and no unexpected bills. So if you're worried about the cost, the disruptions, or the sheer amount of work it's going to take to migrate your current marketing ops, SendLane takes care of everything and you don't pay until they're done. We highly recommend SendLane, and since we've moved, we've seen incredible ways to optimize all our channel strategies in one place. Now, let's get back to the episode. Got it. No, that's super eye-opening. I mean, kudos to you being in that role, probably at the helm of so much of that decision making on the operation side. I'm curious. Another thing that always intrigues me is like the rise of NA, and just I'm probably on that side too of like I'm extremely sober curious. I'll probably never be sober. But I'm always curious, like, what if I gave up alcohol for 2 months? Right. And I know a lot of people who've done it and have talked about, the great lifestyle changes they've made and stuff. What's that market? What's that challenge been like, especially in the last 2 years where you've seen a pretty large rise in it? Are you guys seeing impact of it, or do you just not even go after that demo and you have, enough kind of fish in the sea on the other side? But curious as how that challenge impacts you guys.
It's funny you say that. I brought 2 samples of an NA that we just are about to launch.
Wonderful.
Officially. But no, I think
smart. Just give it as an option, right?
I think with this generation, you're getting a lot more sober curious and a lot more people that aren't looking to go balls to the wall and just be
hammered. hammered.
like we were in college, right? And a lot of that shifting, whether it's the fitness craze, the nutritional craze. I mean, we started that direction when we wanted to put nutritionals on the can and show that we're better for you. We have 0 sugar, 90 calories. You could partake in alcohol without totally blowing up your body.
Yep.
That was the point of doing Loverboy, like from the start. And now we're seeing that they still want to participate and they want to extend. Mm-hmm. So how do you go to a bar and participate in a drinking occasion without just drinking a Red Bull? Because that was the only option. You could only drink a Red Bull, or you could drink, seltzer with a lime.
Right.
And that's it. You want to feel like you're drinking with everybody else,
right,
and partaking in that occasion. Then the non-alc beers came along, and I mean, you just see what Athletic's doing. They're going gangbusters. It's amazing. It's
crazy.
A little early to it, but I think they withstood it, and now they're the leader in the game. I think the problem with NA beer is you're still drinking a beer. So if you drink 6 of them, you're still drinking 6 beers. You're just not getting the alcohol from it. So your gut's still feeling it. You're drinking a hazy non-alc IPA. You're still drinking 6 hazy IPAs. So I think the interesting thing, and why we're experimenting and throwing our hat in the ring, and we've seen a lot of people asking for it, is we now have a 15 calorie, 0 sugar, flavor forward option. You're drinking a Loverboy, but it's less than 5%. You're still partaking in the occasion. You feel like you are because you're same looking can, and I'll show you after. It looks like you're drinking a Loverboy. It feels like you're drinking a Loverboy. It's still the same flavors, like I said, flavor forward, but it's a better for you alternative, and you don't feel like
because Loverboy is clean.
It's clean. Clean ingredients, 15 calories, 0 sugar.
Awesome.
So it's an opportunity to extend while still feeling really good about doing it, and you feel like you're participating, but you feel great afterwards too.
Awesome.
We've seen a lot of people ask for it. There's a lot of education that has to go to it though, because then people say, okay, then you're just a Lipton. You're just a tea.
Yeah.
We specifically went less than 5% alcohol instead of a 0 alc, because we wanted to be in the same aisle as our product, because we wanted people to be able to pull a Loverboy and then pull a non-alc Loverboy, still start with a Loverboy, but then extend with the non-alc, and then finish with a Loverboy too.
I love that process.
Yeah.
We should try that.
So there's a little more.
Can you call something that's less than 5% non-alcohol though? Like, or is it just like a different category of alcohol?
No, so the regulations for a non-alc, you have to be less 0.5%.
0.5.
So
Okay,
we're dealing with a product that is less than 0.5% alcohol.
Got it. Okay.
So we wanted there to be that smidge of alcohol because we wanted to be a non-alc. We wanted to be in the same aisle, still selling to that consumer. But again, it's a way to extend and still participate without feeling like nobody's drinking a regular Arizona in a bar, because they want to drink a tea while everybody else is drinking beer. People want to be participating with the same products that everybody else is drinking.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I think we were just in DR, and one of our friends, he's sober, but he drinks these non-alc Heinekens.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I drink 100 of these, I'll get a little buzz.
Yeah. But again, you're still drinking. You're still drinking a Heineken.
He still feels like he's part of the party.
Yeah.
No, it is heavy. Yeah.
You're still drinking a Heineken.
Yeah.
And the ability we have with the process, we're not creating a product and then trying to ferment out or pull out the alcohol. We're a mixing, batching, blending. So we could add in what we want while still keeping the flavor and the recipe true.
Right.
Instead of totally manipulating what we're doing.
Makes sense.
So we're able to create that consistency throughout the products we're putting out.
Shifting gears a little bit, I still remember it was actually Uncle who had brought over a case of Loverboy to my house one day. And I remember like one thing that just like stood out right away was like, this just is branded and looks completely different than anything else on the market.
Yeah.
Like walk us through that process. I'm sure.
Before we even get there, so the first time I saw it, I must have seen it online or on TV or on the show, and I'm like, wow, this looks super good. So I'm looking up. I always look up what agency made this.
Yeah.
And then I later found out Amanda was designing all of this, and she's wildly talented.
Yeah.
I'm a brand guy, I'm a designer myself.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The way it stands out on shelf, the colors, the logo, the whole thing, it's ridiculous. And it's crazy, you guys. I don't know if you've used an agency since, but I know she was the one who kind of conceptualized the whole look and feel of it.
Yeah, correct. I mean, she has an amazing eye. Everything she touches is awesome.
Yeah.
We've kind of created this omni-channel with this merch store as well, and it goes gangbusters. You know, her and our team, you know, they've created some amazing items, not just on the packaging side, but just all around. Again, everything that's touched is kind of gold. It was a little easier to stand out on the shelf at the time in 2018. Everything was white and black, right? So you have this pop of color, and it's like, what's this on the market? Then you make it look beautiful, and it really stood out, especially then. There are a lot of hats that are thrown in the ring now, but at that time it was black and white, right? Literally black and white. And you know, she has an eye for design. She was able to really come at alcohol from a different perspective and leaned on kind of what maybe the female consumer was looking for, you know, pun intended, like that underserved consumer, the female consumer who wants to participate in alcohol. What are they buying? Whispering Angel? You know, they don't have an option down the beer aisle.
Right.
And we wanted to create an option that they're making 70% of the purchase decisions at the store. So why not cater to what they're looking for? So, you know, her eye and creativity going towards the branding allowed it to pop out on the shelf. And we have an amazing internal team that has just really helped hone in on all the different pieces with her vision and then bringing everything to life. And we've just gone through a little bit of a rebrand refresh on a lot of our stuff. You know, our old branding was around for 3 years before we wanted to bring the refresh in, and it took a little while for the refresh to happen. Being a small team trying to do it nationwide is like, you know, don't wish that upon anybody, but we're finally there, and all the new packaging is going in. I think it looks really sharp and eye-catching, and we just want to, I think even the old stuff would stand true right now on the shelf and really still pop, but we want to just, you know, breathe a little new life into it. And, you know, it's not just the look, the feel, the colors, it's the way that we're able to, you know, go through social, really connect, the transparency of what we're doing, connect with the consumer. You know, the fun excitement that we're trying to bring to alcohol, it resonates with everybody. Trying to create occasion-based experiences, which is kind of why we have the different product lines. We have the teas, which are more 4.2. You drink them like you would a beer around the pool, have fun on the beach. We have our spritzes, which are 6%. That's part of our DTC. We're now bringing them through retail. 6%, a little more elevated, you know, so if you're pre-gaming, you know, the bachelorettes, like all that stuff, there's an occasion for that. And then we started doing some canned cocktails. We're the first to put espresso martini into a can.
I saw that. I still need
They're
to have
12%. They'll knock you on your butt, but they taste awesome.
We got to get some of those.
And again, those are direct to consumer too, and that's more of that truly elevated end of the night espresso martini Cosmo in a can.
Wow.
That are awesome. They save bartenders about 15 minutes if they want to pop one open and pour it into a glass. But you know, we really tried to create, again, occasion-based experiences and product line that fit all those different occasions.
I went to like Stu Leonard's the other day, and I think they had like 12 refrigerators filled with like just cans of different things, right? You have vodka, you have tequila, you have you know, you have wine, you have spritzlers, you have everything under the sun. I'm curious, like, how do you guys go about like product expansion and thought process there? How involved is the consumer? How is the community in terms of like, you know, you're not heavy D2C, so you can't just keep emailing your customer and survey them, but like curious, like how is product expansion and roadmap thought through, and is the customer a part of that journey?
I think our benefit with the platform and the connect we have with the consumer, they're heavily involved in that. I think another benefit and superpower we have is Kyle, Amanda, and a lot of the team. They are part of that culture, right? And they're at the forefront of what's happening. I mean, they were drinking espresso martinis before a lot of people were. And that's kind of what led us to put it into a can. And we were the first one in a can. So a lot of our innovation channel is spurred because they have their pulse on kind of the consumer and what's happening in culture at the moment. We actually do have a pretty heavy DTC channel and platform, and we have a team that's done an amazing job. I mean, when we launched our spritzes, canned cocktails, there were some months we were doing 500 to $1 million in revenue in a month on those channels. So it's a testament to, we may not have the biggest following. I mean, overall, I think social platforms, we have over 2 million followers with everybody. You know, my 500 add to that. So that's 2 million, 500 who are my aunts and uncles and everybody. Nobody cares about me. But, you know, we have over 2 million. We have over 400 via SMS and email, 400,000. Yeah. So we have a huge sample size of what the consumer wants. And then, again, we have our merch. We've sold millions of dollars of sweatshirts and T-shirts just because people are.
I've seen that merch. Like, I want to just wear it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was like, I'm not going to wear it today because I wear it every day.
But you almost do it like Supreme drops, where I've been on the website trying to get something and it's sold out already, and it's that great.
100%.
Maybe we can hit up Nick now.
Yeah. 100%. I'll get it to you. Don't worry. We'll exchange. But yeah, we do have a tremendous, it's not just the following, it's the engagement we have with the following. You know, anybody could post, anybody could have 9 million followers and post. Does that move the needle at all? We find that our engagement really kicks everybody else's ass when it comes to this space, which allows us to really be at the forefront of innovation. Yeah. And because we're so small, we're on a huge, I mean, we're playing with the big boys now, we're on the big stage, but we are so much smaller than them. I look at that as a superpower for us. We're nimble, so we could pivot. We could bring things to market quickly. We're looking to put, you know, a new flavor out via DTC this fall winter, which is like a one-time drop, just as a see if people like it, right? Because we don't need to jump all in and say, okay, we're coming out with a new flavor. This needs to be able to be on the shelf for 2 years. It's a one-time drop. If we sell out, awesome. It's kind of how limoncello started, and that just started getting the traction, and it's become one of our favorite flavors, and we can't keep it in stock. So having kind of this omni-channel approach and different ways to hit our consumer up, not just through the 3-tier, sell it to distributor, sell it to a retailer, of just saying, we want to create something, let's put it on the website and see if it sells. Not many alcohol companies could do that. So it's allowed us to leapfrog a lot of the red tape out there.
Talk through a little bit about your marketing. Obviously, you have platform and being able to lean in on the crux of how the business started is one part. But like, what other things have you guys tapped into? Is it influencers? Have you guys played around with meta ads heavily now? Like, are there other platforms that are becoming a marketing priority or have become an evolved marketing priority, or like organic, TikTok? Like what are some of the other channels that are working?
Yeah, it's funny. Our claim to fame for like the first 3 years was we didn't spend $1 on marketing, which is wild.
I figured that
is usually where, I mean, that's where you just burn everything, right? So we were able to stay pretty darn lean because the platform and the social that we had, we have built-in influencers into it, which is wild. Now that we've expanded and we have over 160 distributors, we're in 44 states.
Jeez.
Break those states into different segments of the network and how many markets we're in. It's unbelievable. So now we're at a point where we really need to dig deeper into these markets. We're at like 4% ACV. Like it's crazy. Like we're surface level. There's so much opportunity with what we could be doing in a whole bunch of these markets.
That's exciting.
That now we know with every dollar we spend, how many more people are we going to be able to reach, right? So now we have the people who have kind of followed Summerhouse and got into the brand. Last year, 2 years ago, we started to see the transition of people finding Loverboy on their own and then getting into Summerhouse, which was like the super exciting thing.
It's a win for
everyone. How many
everyone.
people I now hear are like, I didn't even know what Summerhouse was. I was buying Loverboy, and now
That's
that
so
got me
cool.
into
That's
the
great.
show.
Yeah.
So we started seeing that flip-flop a little bit. And now it's, okay, we are where we want to be.
Yep.
And now how do we invest in the market and go deeper?
That's cool.
We have our distributor partners who have marketing dollars that they're putting into the marketplace. So now it's, how do we approach these markets, spend the right amount of money in the right spots to create the brand awareness outside of, the consumers that know of us? Because
that's awesome.
you still go around, and hurts me to say it, but a lot of people don't know what Loverboy is. They never heard of it.
Sure.
And everybody needs to know of it. That's our goal. So now it's starting to put the money in the right spots, little by little, starting to look at ads and make sure that we're hitting the right people over and over again to expand the consumer base. Yeah, looking at micro influencers in a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily my expertise. I mean, a lot of the team, that's their background. So they lead the charge there. But I think we're doing a really good job of, 5 years in, we're still scrappy as hell.
Yeah.
And, trying to make every dollar that we spend count.
Smart.
Marketing just always was like, hurt me, because you don't always necessarily get the return on every dollar that you spend.
It's painful.
So we try to refrain from that as much as possible and invest it in, a lot of just ways that we could create value for the brand.
Yeah.
But now we're, like I said, we're on the big stage playing with the big boys who are just dropping $1 million here and there. And,
War chest of money.
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have that, but trying to, be snipers in a way of, if we could spend a couple of dollars in this market, what are we going to be able to get out of that?
How big is the team now?
We're about 27 people.
Oh, wow. It's lean, super lean.
Still super
Love
lean.
that.
We're about 20. Yeah.
And did you guys raise any money?
So when we first started, it was mostly organic. Kyle threw some money in, as every good founder does. They have to make sure they have skin in the game. Did a friends and family when we first started. We were in a funny spot. We were actually profitable when we started because we weren't spending money on marketing. And we were about 4 or 5 people through COVID doing this whole expansion number. So it was pretty wild what we were able to do. And the return we were getting on every employee was like astronomical. We then found our spot in we were in a weird spot. We came out of COVID and we were above where VCs wanted to be and below where PE wanted to be. So nobody really knew what to do with us.
Yeah.
But we did find a partner, got a little bit of money in just to make sure that we, had some room to grow.
Right.
But it was also more proof of what we were doing. People were the outside world was buying into what we were doing. And it wasn't just, we're a brand, we're awesome. Getting an investment from someone gave us credibility
100%.
that, this name is now backing us, and now we're not just, some brand that popped up out of nowhere. We have some legs to it.
It's a stamp of approval.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's an absolute stamp of approval. So not only was it the support factor and what we're getting from that partner, but it was that stamp of approval that was pretty important to us.
How bullish are you on this form factor to still prevail for a long time coming in terms of like drinks in a can? Because I mean, you even look at the supplement space, from Ghost Lifestyle to Bloom to Alani Nu, like everyone has a can. Right. Rise has an energy drink. Like everyone has some form of this form factor coming out. And I'm curious on your thoughts, because like the one thing I always think about is like, at some point, are people just gonna get tired of drinking out of a can because they're drinking their energy drink out of a can? They're then having like their probiotic drink out of a can, and then they're also drinking their twisted, their evening drink maybe out of a can. And I'm just curious, like even coffee has been in a can now. Like, do you believe that form factor is here to stay, or can there be elements of like we're gonna have to continue to evolve to see how people consume?
No, that's a great question. It's one we do think about. I think some of the issues and headwinds the industry as a whole run into. Well, one, you see Beatbox kind of coming out there. They have their their box, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I mean, what they've been able to do, they've been able to buck the trend. They're not in a can, and they're doing some awesome things, and people are buying into it. Everything used to be in a bottle, right? Bottle wasn't good for the beverage itself.
Yep.
You know, beer really paved the way of going into a can. Last couple of years when craft came on the scene, when we started Yonkers, we were in a bottle and we moved into can, but we started in a bottle. But just the way the beverage inside was protected from a can, everybody started moving to a can because quality was of utmost importance, right?
Makes sense.
It then became cheaper. It was easier to move. It's easier to palletize. You don't have to wait for breakage and all of that stuff. So the trend was can, and I do think the trend is here to stay because there's so much infrastructure investment in all of this that it would be kind of silly in the near term for people to move away from it, because before COVID, there was a lot of capacity. During COVID, there were no cans. There was no capacity. Nobody could produce anything. You had all of these facilities started coming online of all these can manufacturers who just increased can capacity. I mean, during COVID, we were importing from all over the world.
Just couldn't find it.
Our second year in business, we were importing tankers and cartons, and we were on all these ships that were getting held up in the ports of just cans because you couldn't get cans here domestically. Now you could get cans everywhere, and there's so many cans, I don't see how the industry as a whole, there's so much money invested in it.
Does make sense.
I don't know if they're going to shift from it. Are there better ways? I mean, wine in a box could stay forever. It's not getting oxidized. You know, there could be some movement on that side of the space, but I do understand your point. As a consumer, it's like, okay, I'm going to shift from this can, a littler can, a thinner can, to a bigger can, and all your things are just in different size cans.
Like I have a problem where it's just like my fridge. Like I have so many different drinks, right? Like I use this company called Breeze, which has like you know, like the microdose mushrooms, and like I have that in my drink. But then my wife has some like Olipop and like Poppy, and then you know we have Loverboy in our fridge, and then it's like, holy shit, like I think I need a drinks fridge now because it's all cans.
My 7-year-old's drinking unicorn tier seltzer, you know, some crazy ass stuff that's in a can, right? So now we have our alcohol beverages, your non-alc beverages, and now your child beverages. They're no longer in boxes; they're in cans now too.
Maybe that's what needs to.
So it's just like
the way we look at a refrigerator, right?
It's wild. It's I get your point, and I think I don't know, maybe there'll be a move to like craft glass again, because there's something nostalgic about that too. Popping open a bottle and drinking something out of it. So I don't know. It is an interesting question though. Look forward.
One other question I just have, just more so out of like, I'm curious if you guys have done anything where you see like Liquid Death doing like crazy things, like we're giving away a Tesla or a plane or these like, you know, crazy stunts on the marketing end. Have you guys done anything like really cool on the campaign end with the marketing, on the marketing side that you'd be willing to share?
We've had some interesting things. So with us, again, it's occasion based, as being kind of part of our extended community and things like that, and thought about ways to incorporate some people possibly, you know, winning a night at the Summerhouse or incorporating them into
I was
kind
waiting
of a
for
brand,
that.
because it's all about being part of the experience. And the interesting thing, and not to go too deep into it, but the reason the brand resonates with a lot of people is the people behind the brand resonate with a lot of people. They've seen Kyle. I mean, they're filming season 9 right now.
Seen him grow
which is
up.
amazing. We film now, and then it airs next spring. So it's a great, I mean, it's a built-in marketing machine. Which is awesome.
Absolutely.
But they grow up with them. For 8 seasons, they've seen the ups and downs. They wear their heart on a sleeve. What you see on the show is not fake. I could vouch for it. They are who they are. And, you know, people see them on the street, and it's not like, oh my God, it's Kyle. It's, hey Kyle, what's going on with this? It's like a cousin that they're just asking them for updates on what's going on in their life. They don't treat them like celebrities. They treat them like extended friends.
That's cool.
Which I think creates a very sticky connection, not only to them, but to what they're doing, which is what's allowed the brand to really resonate with everybody. So
that's awesome.
I think creating really fun opportunities to invite them into kind of this world
Yep.
and have them feel like they're a part of it is something we're looking to get a little more into. You know, we're wary about spending $25 on Facebook ads, let alone buying a Tesla. So I don't know if we're there yet, but we're looking to utilize kind of what we have at our disposal to
100%,
extend to the consumers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, first of all, excellent episode. I mean, there's so much you shared and so much good wisdom, especially for those on the beverage side of things, what to look out for, what to consider. But one thing we like to do at the end of each episode is like, if there was one thing you can give everyone, something to chew on, something to think about, one takeaway, what would that be? So viewers and listeners can take that back and then apply it to their business or their approach.
Entrepreneurship, these kinds of business, they're not for the faint of heart. And I think you have to be true to who you are, what you believe in, the product you're putting out there. Transparency, like wear it on your sleeve. Yep. I think the consumer sees right through it. You can't go out chasing, you know, what's happening in the market. That's if you think you're different or, you know, you have a product that's really going to win, I think you need to jump both feet, be behind it and kind of stay true to that. And people will see that. They'll see the passion. They'll see the energy you have for it, and they feed off of it. We all know if you support or try to sell something and you don't believe in it, it's like, you know, none of it sticks. Yeah. And I think it's, you know, belief in yourself, belief in the product or the business that you're trying to put out there. Be transparent with it. Don't be afraid. That resonates with people, right? I think that's what I would say. Just really stay true to who you are, what you're doing, and, you know, the product you might be putting out there.
Chew on that.
If you want more from us, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and check out the website chewonthis.io.